Welcome, everybody. I'm Alfred Lambremont Weber, and we have the extraordinary privilege and honor today to be with Dr. Raymond Keller and an extraordinary program who's going to bring us the works of two important Venusians who are living now here on planet Earth. Yes, Venusians who are living here on planet Earth and who have authored books. And so it's going to be a special program. But Dr. Keller, Ray, I want to tell you, yesterday, Amazon delivered your books. And I know I've got this, so I've got a whole stack of them. So we're going to have a lot of programming coming up.
Well, thank you, Alfred. I'll be happy to do that for you and the audience.
Great. Okay. Now, today we have an extraordinary program, and the first of the two living Venusians who came from Venus and who settled here on Earth, initially anonymously, camouflaged as an Earthling, settled in an Earthling family, and who's written 3 books that we'll be covering in this initial part of the interview, is Omnec Onec. And the initial book we'll be covering is Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial, where she goes public. And that is so moving, Dr. Keller. I'll go back between calling you Ray, which is how we know each other as friends, and Dr. Keller, because I'm a newbie in Venus research and extraterrestrials, so I am in awe.
Well, thank you.
I want to read this paragraph and this language from the first page of the first chapter of From Venus I Came, Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial, because it, as an exopolitical person who, from early on, I mean, now going 25, 30 years in this field, I've never encountered such a succinct case of what the exopolitics of our solar system is, and so simply stated and directly stated. And with your indulgence, I'll just read this and then I'll turn the program over to you for comment and for further moving through. And thank you for your indulgence. And this is just for the readers. This is from Omnec, Chapter 1, From Venus I Came. Quote, "The most earth-shaking revelation of the 20th century will be that since Earth was first colonized, human beings have been arriving from planets in this very solar system, planets which most people today believe cannot possibly have advanced human life. Their ships land secretly in remote parts of the world where they are met by friends who have already been absorbed into Earth society. Most of the newcomers do not become involved in life here, something that has been going on for a long time. But the people who know about us, or even suspect we exist, are very few in number. I am one among thousands of people from neighboring planets who make Earth their home. Some of our people stay only for long enough to complete special missions, but many have made the courageous decision to spend the rest of their lives here. Scientists, doctors, educators, artists, engineers, and ordinary citizens from these advanced planets live and work secretly among the people of Earth. Governments of the world know as well that people like myself living secretly within the Earth's population number well into the thousands. For their own good, for their own very good reasons, as I shall explain later, governments and military powers on Earth are doing all in their power to suppress any evidence that may leak out from UFO witnesses, space probes, astronauts, astronomers, and anyone else who may know of us. I'm not saying that all astronauts and astronomers know. Meanwhile, most of the public hears from unsure astronomers and government sources and is satisfied. And as you know, Ray, the late beloved Dr. Robert Potter, you and I were on his last broadcast here on Earth before he passed away peacefully in his sleep shortly after Good Friday and Easter Sunday this year. Robert Potter said in that interview that we did in Buenos Aires, Argentina, that there are about 12,000 visitors from Venus who are deployed here in the planet, in the fabric, in governments, in science, in technology, and various helping stabilize the planet. And at any one time, there are 50,000 Venusians who are engaged in surveying the planet in various modes, keeping this planet stabilized. And our moon, we have only one moon, which is very unusual in planets, and accounts for the fact that Earth is called the dark planet, and it's sort of the evil planet. Why we are such a violent planet, because the fact that we have only one moon is what keeps our mental state, our society so negative, entranced in war, disease, crime, and poverty. It's that lunar is a lunatic. So there's a lot you're going to learn, and I encourage everyone watching to go to Amazon and buy the books, the 3 books of Omnec Onec. And you're going to be seeing her at the conference in just a few weeks. And I'm going to ask her a personal favor, and that just when you see Omnec Onec there, tell her that Alfred Webre, a new fan and a newbie, just saw her books and has been transformed and is transforming. So could you do that, please, as a favor? Over
Thank
to
you,
you,
Alfred.
Ray.
I will pass that word on to dear Omnec and let her know. And she regrets that she doesn't have the time to do so many podcasts and things. So she's not really into all the technology of. She's like me. Um, I just have a landline,
Yeah.
and I don't even have a cell phone or
Oh,
anything. So it's lucky I have a computer.
oh
Uh,
boy.
but I know she appreciates hearing from all of her fans and all of the seekers of the light and the light workers that are out there trying to make this a better world.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're all sitting back looking forward to your telling us of the autobiography of an extraterrestrial from Venus Icon of Omnec Onec, of her handbook of spirituality, and then moving on to Lady Columba. Venus revelation. So over to you.
Thank you, Alfred. Well, this is her book, the trilogy. It's published by Discus Press in Germany, and Anya Schaefer is the editor. She's also published my Gospels of Thomas and Mary Magdalene, as well as a German edition of Venus Rising, Concise History of the Second Planet, and published many of my articles, translated them into German for the UFO newspaper called UFO Nachrichten, which is published in Bavaria since the mid 1950s. So she's done series of articles translating my information in Omnecs as well, to bring it to people. So I'm very grateful for that. But the original From Venus I Came was put together with the editorial assistance of Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, who published a lot of UFO books out there in Arizona. And before they were picked up by Anya Schaefer in Germany. So Wendell wrote the introduction to these set of books, and it's in three parts. So the first part is From Venus I Came, and this was also published for a while independently through Global Communications in New Jersey, and it has more of Wendell's comments. So those are pictures of Omnec right there on the cover, and she declares that it's not science fiction, that this is all very, very real. And I know Alfred was asking a question at the beginning of our last podcast about that these you see these Venusian women, and they look so exotic and everything. They look like sci-fi characters from the 1950s and so forth. But there is actually a reason for that, is because the Venusians are operative, creating memes that we can understand. And so they approach us at our level of understandability and relatedness. And it's not hard to see that when considering that the movie the Day the Earth Stood Still was actually based on information about a Venusian, Sir Desmond Leslie, who co-wrote the books with George Adamski. And then in the follow-up, the second movie that followed up was Stranger from Venus, which also starred Patricia Neal in the same role as the Venusian contact, and that was filmed in the United Kingdom, and Desmond Leslie continued the work he was doing there. So just a preface that they're in tune with our way of life and our way of thinking. And I couldn't think of a better people in space brothers and sisters to be there and introduce us into the space age. So when Omnec came to Earth, the circumstances of that initially coming into the Himalayas and studying with the masters there as a young girl, and then arriving in Tennessee in 1955 and growing up in the 50s in the American South is very interesting story. And you can see the perspective gained by an extraterrestrial living among us here on Earth. So it's a beautiful book. She explains how she came from a higher spiritual dimension of Venus, a higher aspect called Tithania, and the way of life there and their philosophy. And it's just so much that we can gain and learn from that. So from Venus I came. Omnec Onec portrays her life on this astral level of Venus and teaches timeless wisdom that she gained from the Venusians bringing to Earth. She speaks about the adventures of how and why she decided to manifest a physical body and her journey to Earth in 1955 and her continuance here since then. Now, the second part is called Angels Don't Cry, and it's a continuation of her autobiography going into her teenage and middle adult years, and conveys some of her more interesting experiences on Earth, some of the many people that she's met in the ufology community and otherwise on a national and international levels. And it contains further valuable insights about life on Venus and other planets in our solar system. So that was part two. And then the part three of the book is her message for humankind. This is the essence of her spiritual teachings, and the truth is always simple, practical, and current. Omnec writes about the essence of creation, soul, and life. This essential third part also contains a new chapter about the evolution of souls on planet Earth, how our souls are infinite sparks of the Creator, and we continue on into the eternities, and the relationship that we have, the divine relationship that we have with the cosmos, with our brothers and sisters of other planets, and with each other. So it's a very, very profound book. My sister Omnec always said, imagination is the most powerful faculty in man and the key to creation. So I love that philosophy very much. And she also has a third book that she introduced through Anya Schaefer. This is a condensing of Venusian philosophy, Simply Wisdom and Love. And this is the cover of the book. It's also through Discus Publishing. And basically, this book is highlighting her philosophy that the most important thing that the people on Earth have to learn is to replace criticism and judgment with love and acceptance. And I think this will go a long way. I mean, it's so simple, but it's so profound because it will go further than anything in promoting happiness and world peace. So this is the essence of it, and that's actually the essence of the Bible, because the Apostle Paul taught us if there's anything good or of goodly report, then it is that we seek after these things, and that's what Omnec does in all of her books. So I would highly recommend them. Also, Anya Schaefer at Venus Spirit in Germany has written a book called Venus and I, and it tells how she got to know Omnec and how they began to work with each other and to spread this message in Europe. And that's a very beautiful book as well. And Anya and I promoted that book on a tour last year in Mount Shasta and in Sedona, Arizona. So I would highly recommend that book. Now this year coming up, this next month coming up, from June 27th through July 3rd, if you want to meet Omnec Onec, we will be at Mount Shasta, and we will be doing some seminars and some teaching and everything there, and some sky watching. And if you want to come and join us, it'll also be a celebration of of Rob Potter's life. He's brought so many contactees together, and is responsible for bringing so much information about our cosmic condition here on Earth and our relationship with beings from other planets. So just look up the Promise Revealed. Just type in the Promise Revealed Mount Shasta summer conference, and it should take you to information on how to get there, where it's going to be, and so forth. Now, last year, Omnec and I were in Germany, and yeah, here's a picture of her, and we were talking to the largest UFO conference in Europe at Memmingen. We had the whole auditorium, the Memmingen City Hall in Bavaria. The whole thing was filled, and talking about life on Venus and the Venusian message. And then we had another meeting at the Hohenfels Castle. And while we were there, we had a private meeting with about 30 people that came to this chalet where we were at to meet with us, and the whole sky became dark in the middle of the afternoon, and then it coalesced in smaller and smaller into a black cloud. And then there were lightning bolts going back and forth within the cloud and not touching the ground. And everybody was amazed. And then we saw these jets, fighter jets that were scrambled, and they were crisscrossing the sky. We thought maybe something was going on in the Ukraine, and so we were worried about that. And then Omnec said it was her uncle, and that was a mothership that was out there. And then the next morning, sitting on the patio upstairs in the back, and she said her uncle was going to come and visit us, and so I'm sitting in this kind of a lawn chair by a table, and then all of a sudden the lawn chair just sank real hard and snapped against the wall in the back, and there wasn't anybody that I could see. So I ran in. And I said, "Your uncle's here." So a lot of amazing things happen when you're around Omnec Onec, and so if you get a chance to come out to Mount Shasta, I'm sure you won't regret it. That's where the first time that we met was in Mount Shasta in 2018. Here's Omnec in Germany the last time. She spent many years there in Germany, and most of her readers and followers are in Europe. Not too many people know about her over here. So I hope that more will become acquainted.
Yes,
Yes.
I've got a question. In right at the beginning on page 35 of From Venus I Came, Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial, Omnec Onec writes, the Venusians live according to spiritual and natural law rather than, well, this is from the Kindle edition, so I'm not sure what the difference is there. She writes, the Venusians live according to spiritual and natural law rather than man-made laws in every area of life. This is a very basic difference between the other planets and Earth. Personal experience is the vital something which is missing in conventional Earth religions and path. And I guess by that she means spiritual and natural law or spiritual experience. Do you want to comment on that or?
Oh, sure. It's called Omnotia Zeta on Venus. It's the higher supreme laws, and it's to uh, uh, basically the essence of the Bible and other spiritual paths here on Earth is kindness and action, right actions that are conducive to love and harmony. And uh, there is no higher law than that, no higher law than truth, as Helena Blavatsky once said. And this is the very struggle that Jesus had when he was on the earth. It wasn't that he was discounting the law, but he was trying to impart the message that that it's the spirit of the law that counts, and treating all of our fellow beings on this planet with love and respect, and recognizing the God presence in everyone and really everything, not just other people, because we share this planet with other beings, other intelligent sentient species, whether we realize it or not. Um, I have an affinity for bees. Omnec has a closeness with butterflies, and all kind of things have happened with these insects and other creatures. I just came back from the Allegheny Cemetery in outside the east side of Pittsburgh in Lawrenceville, and there's a statue there of uh, Angel Vertiel. Is the one that the scribing angel that conducted Enoch on a tour of the heavens. I went there with Anna French, who's the illustrator. She's a collage artist and the illustrator uh, in some of my upcoming books. And she also wrote the introduction to my latest book called Pennsylvania um, in the Paranormal Vortex. That's this one here. And in that experience, as we got to the angel statue, and this was on the same day that this was a coronal mass ejection. So it was, trapping uh, supreme amounts of energy into the Earth's magnetosphere. And so strange things were about to happen. We approached the statue to take some pictures of this angel, and then two deers came out of the forest right up to us and just stood still for about 10 minutes. Then there were about 3 dozen Canadian geese. They all came around and gathered around the statue, and nowhere in the park. And then there was a groundhog that came out from this other tombstone and was uh, curious about what we were doing there. So, it was like a St. Francis of Assisi moment, with all God's creatures, great and small, coming out
Right.
uh, to participate in this event. So, Omnek has a closeness with animals and creatures as well, and they're part of the life cycle of this planet, a very important part. And we don't realize how lucky we are to live on a planet with such biodiversity. And
Oh,
we should give thanks every day. The attitude of gratitude that we live here, and we're growing and maturing, and when we're ready, we'll be part of a galactic confederation, the kind that Lady Columba talks about and writes about in this book. This is the Lady Columba Venus Revelations.
yeah, yeah. And we'll get to that later on in the program. Now, I want to ask you this, getting back to Onec. She also writes about basic laws and divine laws, and she sets out the seven basic laws and the seven divine laws. And those are so powerful. I like to share those for the audience. And I've copied them and I can read them out. Would that be okay? And
Oh
then,
yeah, 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 that'd be fine.
yeah, she writes, the seven basic laws are number one, know ourselves to be part of the Creator. Number two, be thankful for the experience of existence. Number three, not judge, but accept all beings. Number four, to know we have existed as all living forms. And that's amazing. She even talks about how we existed as rocks and then we existed as every kind of, being from germs to every kind of animal. And, we made it up and then we became humans. Number five, fulfill our responsibilities in each life cycle. Number six, obey laws of nature and societies in which we exist. Number seven, learn from mistakes so as not to repeat old lessons. And then she goes on. The seven divine laws are number one, love all living creations. Number two, use our energy to support our worlds. Number three, share knowledge and wisdom. Number four, understand the equality of all souls. Number five, never use power to manipulate or control. Boy, that's a biggie. Number six, know that your soul is immortal. And number seven, give thanks to the one divine being daily. Whoa. So over to you.
Oh yes, it's so simple, but it's profound. And the message of our Venusian friends is uh, as I understand it, embodies that all those principles and encompasses um, an acceptance on our part of our place in the universe and our destiny. When we understand who we are, where we are now, and where we're going as part of um, a cosmic brotherhood and sisterhood that's out there, and then also to never stop learning. I believe it's very fundamental to continue to pursue knowledge in all paths, and and comparative religion, science, mathematics, all areas of study and endeavor, and then to not be afraid to exercise faith and use and develop the powers that are latent within us. That's very important too, because our brothers and sisters from other planets have been here where we are once upon a time, and we can be where they are and have these advanced powers, what we might call extrasensory powers beyond the five senses: clairaudience, clairvoyance, telekinesis, um, ESP, mental telepathy, all these different things, even bilocation and things that we might normally associate with saints or swamis. But we have these powers that are locked within ourselves too. So when we begin to live these higher precepts and line upon line build upon them, then we can do these things too.
Oh, yeah, Omnec Onec, I think, is a major uh, force from another planet and a major teacher from another planet who has come here to teach us. And it's surprising, as you say, that she is so well known in Germany and in Europe and is not as well known in North America as she is known in Europe. What accounts for this, do you think?
Well, she came over there she came to Europe in the 1990s and was in uh, uh, Der Spiegel and all these magazines and television programs. She was interviewed in Russia by the cosmonaut, the female cosmonaut, and um, and she's been all over the world. She's been in TV and things in Japan even, and Taiwan, and so everybody knows about her and honors and respects her message, but she's just not that well known over here. I think if more people knew about her or took the time to read her books and contemplate what she's saying and her message, I think they would appreciate her more.
Do you think it's the fact that in North America you've got the United States and the United States deep state kept her off of television and kept her out of magazines like Der Spiegel and the mainstream TV?
Yeah, I think there is as as she stated there in the first chapter of that book, there is a conspiracy afoot to keep information about our neighboring planets in the solar system, to keep that information from the general public. And it's very hard to get the truth out there um, because it's it is being concealed, and beginning with all this information from NASA and everything that life is too hostile for life as we know it to exist on these other planets. Yet, when you really think about it, everything in the universe is made of the same basic elements that are on the periodic table. It's the same everywhere. So there's no reason why life similar to us has evolved before, is continuing to exist now, and will go on in the future.
Yeah,
And that's her message.
right. Some people say NASA and NASA, never a straight answer.
Yes, never a straight answer.
You know,
Or not a space agency, right?
you know, uh, and and you were saying that even the moon, we have one moon. The moon is administered is under the administration of Venus. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, and well, it's actually part of a confederation of planets.
A confederation of planets.
There's 601 inhabited planets or moons that are out there that are part of a vast confederation in our spiral arm of the Milky Way. But But we know, for example, from the Kepler probe, that they've said that they've discovered um, about 8,500 planets that are out there, and they don't know how many could support Earth life, but they say we don't have to worry about it because we'll never get there. So I guess they don't mind talking about it when they put it in that kind of a context. But in all truth and in all reality, there's many confederations and alliances, just like on Earth. We have a North Atlantic Treaty Organization, we have Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, we have the United Nations, we have the World Trade Organization, we have all these groups, Organization of American States. There's the same thing with different planets and inhabited worlds out there. They're in different alliances and confederations. The reason that they have a confederation is very simple because in a federative system, it's too constrictive. It doesn't allow for the autonomy of worlds, and they have many different beings out there, so many different types of beings that it's hard to imagine it. But in the Lady Columba um, revelations, she talks about beings from other solar systems. Some are like elephantine beings, some are insectoids, and with all these different manners of communication and abilities, and that it's better to have a confederation, a loose but mutual interest based alliance than a federation, because it's not conducive to that kind of strict type of rule. They have to have a little leeway. So a confederation is actually a better way to go at this time for
Wow, that is such an interesting thought, and we'll get to Lady Columba shortly in this interview. First, remember we talked about one moon. Well, let me just read what Onec says about the moon briefly in her From Venus I Came, Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial, and we can see why the Confederation is focusing on Earth's moon. This is Omnec Onec. Quote, a problem with Earth is that it has only one moon. Planets in the physical universe usually have two or more moons, so that each can help balance the other's influence. For a planet to have no moons also is fine, but to have only one can unbalance a planet. In this solar system, Earth is therefore unique. Not only does the moon play with man's emotions, but the whole unbalancing also reduces people's lifespans. And because the planetary vibrations are coarser or denser than on Venus or Mars, there is much more illness and depression. With good reason, Earth became an unpopular planet in its early years and was not colonized until life on Venus and its neighbors had changed drastically. As the moon revolves around the Earth, its gravity slightly stretches the Earth itself, causing tides. If these tides would have been the only problem, our early explorers should have rejoiced. The moon also has an effect on any human being who has decided to live here or throughout the ages has been born here. Partly because of the water in our body, the moon has just as definite an influence on us as on the oceans. It adversely affects our minds and emotions, a condition that has existed throughout our history and will exist as long as there is only one moon. One of the problems is the flaring of negative emotion in masses of people, which is actually a self-destructive force in man. Mental illnesses are also related to phases of the moon. The word lunacy comes from this effect. Visitors to Earth are often advised to drink plenty of water during the times of the full moon to help adjust their lives here. Who knew? Over to
Oh, yes.
you,
Well,
Keller. Wow.
you know,
Nobody tells you this.
well, statistics have been done about crime around the world, and most murders actually take place when there's a full moon.
Oh my God. So no wonder she says Earth is called the ugly planet because it had one moon, and now they have the Confederation in charge of the moon. And nobody's telling you that. And it was Kennedy who said we're going to go to the moon. And who was president when we went to the moon? I remember watching the moon.
Oh, Richard M. Nixon.
Richard M. Nixon, right, right. I remember that dialogue. And uh, uh, right. So over to you. What are you going to do about that?
Well, it is problematic, and of course, the moon is the perfect place for bases, extraterrestrial bases, so that they can keep a watch on us and what we're doing. And not to say that they don't have some on Earth, because they do have some on Earth, um, under some of the lakes, like Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, and in Russia, and other places under the sea, and inside of mountains, and then hidden in other dimensions behind portals, and things. So that their presence is here, among us. And that's why I wrote this other book that just came out, The Real Resident Aliens. And so that has all the information about the Brown Mountain Lights, about Paul Solem, the contactee who worked among the Native Americans, and all the legends of extraterrestrials here on the Earth, here among us. That's why I have on the cover of the book. You see the you could see the the golden aura around the ETs, that otherwise they look like humans, but they're walking among us.
Right.
So I was reading all these accounts from different sources, and talking to different people about the ETs that live among us, and we were talking about the science fiction show on TV that's now in its fourth season, called Real Resident Alien, starring John Tudyk,
Right.
and just saying, well, this is more than science fiction. This is for real. Although the stories in the TV show are are fiction, but they're based on fact. So I wanted to put this book together so that it would present the fact of the matter is about them being here on Earth and living among us.
So when you say in your book, The Real Resident Aliens, you talk about what Onec talks about at the beginning, and that is the fact that there's a flow of visitors from Venus and other planets who come here, and they're dispersed into the population, and they carry out important functions of keeping Earth stable. Is that
Yes,
saying?
exactly. And not only the planets that we can see, but others that we can't see. For example, um, in the Borderland Sciences Research Association, formed by Mead Lane in San Diego in the late 1940s, 1946, and so forth, it was revealed that there's actually 60 planets within our solar system, of which 12 are in the physical realm that we could see or that we could detect with our scientific instruments, and then another 48 that are invisible.
Now, when you say they're invisible, is that because they are at dimensions that we cannot access?
Right. They're on like a higher octave wave,
Higher
uh,
octave wave.
mhm,
So are
higher
that
vibration.
so that they're a higher level of consciousness.
Right. And sometimes, sometimes these planets will pass through uh, some kind of a vibrating filament in the space-time continuum and overlap into our dimensional reality and our time frame, and we could and they'll become manifest for a short amount of time, or they can cross over here, and sometimes we can cross over there.
Now, may I ask you a question? This will get esoteric. Where is the spiritual realm, what they call heaven, in relation to these upper dimensions where the planets are?
Well, where Omnec is coming from is a higher dimensional spiritual aspect of Venus that they call Tithania.
I
And we know in the Bible, for example, when Paul talks about being caught up into the third heaven, the Roman cosmology, which was the prevailing view of the universe, of the cosmos at the time, gauged the planets in the heavens by the luminosity of the object. So the sun was the first heaven, the moon was considered the second heaven, and Venus was the third heaven. So when Paul says he was caught up into the third heaven, he he said he didn't know if he was in his body, his physical body, or out of it, but he said he was in the presence of God and angels. And it's very interesting that when Dante, Dante Alighieri in the 13th century wrote the Divine Comedy. In book three is Il Paradiso, and it's in the third and ninth canto. His guide Beatrice and uh, and and Virgil take him up to Venus, where he meets angelic beings and so forth. And then later on, Emanuel Swedenborg, who was a famous scientist in Sweden, or from Sweden, and a theologian, he founded the Church of the New Jerusalem. He wrote about a journey to all the other planets of the solar system, and beyond. And he said that Venus was the highest realm, that and that was the realm of the gods and angels.
so this is there throughout the centuries here, there have been visionaries who have been admitted to the dimensional ecology of the worlds, if we want to call it that.
Yes, yes. So it's a very spiritual subject as well. And of course, and Jesus talked about it. He said, Revelations 22, verse 16, I am of the bright and morning star, the root and offspring of David. And Peter said that we should all let the morning star rise in our hearts. So there's a definite connection with Venus, as Helena Blavatsky said, it's the most spiritual, powerful, and occult of all the planets
Right.
in the universe for the influence on humankind. And when Helena Blavatsky, the very first thing she ever wrote was a treatise called History of a Planet, which was
Right.
all about Venus in relation to the Earth. And then other books by like Alice K. Bailey and the Theosophical Society in her book about the cosmic fire. She mentions the influence of Venus 187 times throughout the book.
This just occurred to me. It's just a wild thought, okay, but it just came into my mind. And that is that if at the summer conference, do you know if Omnec Onec plans to speak?
Yes, she'll be speaking.
And do you know if those talks are videotaped?
Yes, I think they are going to be videotaped.
And do you know if they are placed on the internet and distributed?
I I believe they will be, yeah.
Yeah, because we hear you, you're on now what we call the World Good News Network. And that was founded by, among others, myself and others collaborated while he was still here with the futurist Buckminster Fuller. You remember him?
Oh yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Bucky Fuller. And Bucky Fuller and I met at his university, and along with the futurist Barbara Marx Hubbard, and a whole bunch of us collaborated in the World Good News Network. And so the network that you're appearing on now is part of the World Good News Network. That's what
Oh, wow.
getting
Yeah.
all the news out. And so when you go to the conference, tell them that if they want to send us Omnec's video and any of the other videos that would pertain to the Venusian science, your video and others, that we would be glad to distribute them on the World Good News Network because we have more than 80,000 subscribers.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I'll be sure
Yeah,
and pass that
yeah.
message on.
Yeah, and we have more than 50,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. So I'm thinking that we should all the work is collaboration, right? So I'm just asking you as a fellow messenger to go there with that message that we will be glad if they want to contact us and share some of those videos and tell us where they are, then we could take those videos and redistribute them through the World Good News Network.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I don't know, have you ever had Anya Schaefer on the program as well?
No, I just discovered her yesterday, and I signed up for her newsletter yesterday. I discovered her when I began reading the works of Omnec Onec in preparation for our program. See, all of this happened after our program with Robert Potter, and then Robert passed over, and then I sort of fell into this, and then you and I are working on this book on it's a book called, it's in draft form, it's called Exopolitics: The Advanced Civilization on Venus, and it's a draft book. It'll be finished in maybe 6 months to a year, and you graciously agreed to be the editor and to contribute an introduction, and I'm drafting it now. And I'll be sending you a draft for editing and stuff in a few months, and we'll see.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to that.
yeah. So this is all happening as a result of our beloved colleague Robert Potter passing peacefully in his sleep after Easter Sunday. Remember that?
Yes.
So that is all happening.
It was a pleasure to be with him the last 2 weeks of his life. And revisiting his boyhood home in Laguna Beach
Oh, yeah.
and George Adamski's school and everything, and the
Yeah.
giant rock. We went there, and it was
Yeah.
it was a he had a beautiful send off from planet Earth.
Well, you know that Danny Morone, whose program we were in, on in Argentina, and I hope you don't think this is too forward, but Danny hypothesized that both you and Robert are in fact Venus incarnates.
Oh well, he does have that right. Yeah, I learned that in the Veterans Administration Hospital in Pittsburgh, and in 2014 I was having quadruple bypass surgery,
Oh boy.
and they actually stopped my heart, took it out of my body, were reworking it on a table, and had me in the artificial life support for
Oh my God.
8.5 hours.
Oh,
And while I was in that, I I had a dream or experience or something. Um, Not saying I'm Paul or anything like that, but something similar to that, out of body. And I was in a ring of fire high above the earth, and I met my oversoul, who appeared to me as a teenager, and I looked at I looked at him in the first Earth incarnation, in the first century BC, and then I saw 12 other incarnation or 11 other incarnations leading up to this one, and I looked above, and I couldn't see anything but the darkness of space, and below the same thing, and I was very dizzy. So I was just holding on to this ring for dear life. And then my oversoul told me and I was in the process of writing Venus Rising, a concise history of the second planet. And he said I could come with him and go back to Venus. In other words, integrate my soul with my oversoul and just return to Venus, or I could go back to Earth and finish this book. So I decided, well, I'm going to go back. If that's why I'm here, send me back so I could finish the.
isn't that amazing? Congratulations. You have had a huge cosmic aha moment. I mean, amazing. Well, we speculated, you and I, privately, that Robert may, because he let go in the middle of his sleep unexpectedly. And that was right after our program in Buenos Aires that took place on Holy Thursday. The next day was Good Friday, and then Easter Sunday, and then shortly after he was gone, that maybe he was called to some other cosmic path or cosmic duty.
Oh yeah, I believe that too. I believe that as Omnec and others have told Rob that he was brought here to bring star people together here on Earth.
Wow. Well, his passing drafted me into a larger understanding of the Venus mission in our solar system and on Earth that I'm now, happily helping move. So, that's what
Oh,
I feel for myself.
yes. Well, he brought Omnic and I together
Oh, wow.
in 2016 to Mount
Yeah,
Shasta
that's
when we
amazing.
when we first met each other, we both had a cane, and we were laughing because I said the first thing I said, well, I guess it's the lower gravity on Venus because it's only 80%, and we're trying to get adjusted to life over here.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh, well, Omnec Onec is huge. She is huge. She is huge. I, I, I want to read just from Venus I Came, Autobiography of an Extraterrestrials, a few words that she has as to what the origins are of the various races on Earth, what planets they came from. Would that be okay? And then
Sure,
ask
yeah,
for your
that'll be
comments
fine.
on it. She says, before the age of Lemuria, the land of Mu, two major races thrived on Earth. One right race, known by many people as Aryans, came from Venus. We are the tall, quote, angelic beings so often spoken of in your UFO contacts. Normally, we are 7 to 8 feet tall and are well known for a long blonde hair and blue or green eyes. Boom. A yellow race is from the planet Mars. These are slender people, small in stature, with golden or dark brown hair and olive to yellow complexion. Their large slanted eyes are anywhere from gray to dark brown in color. Martians are known for their secretive nature and the futuristic, many-leveled, elaborate cities we see in science fiction illustrations. Martians are associated with the histories of the Oriental and ancient Spanish peoples. A red race came to Earth from the Saturn system, although it first evolved on Mercury. A change in the orbit of Mercury took it closer to the sun, and as living conditions deteriorated, the people migrated to Saturn. Saturnians are known to have red to brown hair and a ruddy complexion with yellow to green eyes. The Egyptian and Aztec peoples, among others, are very much influenced by Saturnians, Egyptian and Aztec people. A black race evolved in the Jupiter system. These are tall, royal-looking people with broad faces and square jaws. Their hair is a deep, glistening black, and their eyes are from purple to violet. The Jupiterians are also known for their beautiful voices and opening share nature of being. Descendants are in Africa and other parts of the world. In all the centuries of struggle, Earth has never been forgotten or neglected. So there we have the major races on Earth and the sort of planetary points of origin. Do you have any comment or insight?
Yeah. In my books and my writing, I add on to that, going even deeper before they arrived in our solar system where they came from. For example, the African peoples come from a world called Emaya.
Emaga?
Emaya.
Uh-huh.
It's in the Sirius star system,
Wow.
around a planet around a star called Anu. It's a brown dwarf star. But Emaya is a planet about the size of Mars, but it is a primarily water world. And this information comes from the Dogon.
From the
Who
Dogon.
the,
Whoa, that's
the
deep.
and the people that came from that planet are called the Nomos, and they arrived about 5,000 years ago. there's also information about these people and their culture from the Dogon elders, the shamanic elders, and in the Muslim temple in Timbuktu that has ancient knowledge there in Mali, because their first landing place on Earth was in the Red Cliffs region of Mali.
That is so awesome. You know, when I was trekking through Africa, I made it to Upper Volta and to Mali, and then I was supposed to turn and go up to Timbuktu because I wanted to go visit the Dogon, but I just went into exhaustion and I couldn't
Oh,
get up Timbuktu. That was it. And I remember this gendarme looked at me and I said, "Je suis très fatigué," because you speak French, sir. So, "Je suis très fatigué," and I had to turn around and go back to Mali. I did not make it up to Timbuktu.
and then Alfred, in my book, in my third book, Cosmic Rays Excellent Venus Adventure, I explore the Nordic connection there because in the far north countries, they have the mythology in the ancient history of the Rainbow Bridge, which connects uh, the astral realms and Valhalla and all that with the Earth. And as it turns out, um, over the North poles of all the planets in the solar system, there's always this electromagnetic anomaly that's formed when the solar wind interconnects with the gravitational field of the planet. And so over Mars, you see a small coronal effect over the North Pole. Jupiter has a giant crown of electricity. Um, and Saturn has this weird, like a pentagonal shape, a perfect pentagonal shape that's formed in the clouds over the North Pole. And Venus has a dual cyclonic vortex that serves as a cosmic air conditioner for uh, the whole planet. And all these northern pole areas of the planets are connected by this solar stream. And so the people of the Northlands, they called it the Rainbow Bridge, and it was where the Venusians first arrived on Earth, just following this cosmic stream of particles from the sun.
Right, right. Now, I just want to I'm looking here because we do want to get to to Lady Columba. So I'm just opening up the handbook of uh, uh, Venus spirituality, which is
Okay.
Omnec Onec, and I'm opening it up here, and let me just open it up here. Uh, and whoops. So there she talks about the mental dimension, the etheric dimension, the soul dimension, Amiklok dimension, God's world, healing and self-healing procedures, energy, power punch, song mantra. Uh, uh, she
Oh,
talks,
yeah. She also has that interview with the Russian cosmonaut between Omnek Onek and Marina Popovich.
oh my
That's one
God.
of the chapters in there. And then that was compiled by Anya Schaefer.
Oh boy. And a technique of soul travel, mantras and their benefit, the God's World illustration, and the introduction. Uh, And uh, uh, and so so she writes, the handbook of Venusian spirituality is made up of our Venusian concepts of ourselves in relation to the world around us and the other existing dimensions above and or below us, or as we like to understand, all around us. It gives you our view of every living entity from a soul point of view. It is a guide to help you not only understand it, but balance and harmonize all the non-material bodies within the physical body. It is a step-to-step guide of how to properly care for the physical, astral, causal, mental, etheric, and soul bodies. Over to you, Dr. Keller.
Oh, yes, this is a true description of planetary ascension and also individual ascension. So, some of us will not have to wait for the time when there's an entire planetary ascension. If we're already ahead of the game, we gather a gnosis or a spiritual understanding of these things, and then we can sometimes we could even depart this planet bodily.
Oh, amazing. So when I saw this, I said to myself, I can't believe that these two books are available on the internet. And I bought the Kindle editions, which are so economical. I mean, it's just and it's just amazing. And I said, the Handbook of Venusian Spirituality, this is a Venusian book that's available here on Earth. And it just gives you all the answers of how to go. I mean, it's just a miracle, isn't it?
It is. It's and I think that's what um, Omnec is called the ambassador from Venus, and I'm called the Venus historian.
The the Venus historian. Now, before he passed, again, we're just sort of honoring Robert Potter. Robert Potter talked a lot about bringing his material to omniversity.net, which is this e-learning platform that we have for multidimensional knowledge. And since you know Omnec Onec and you're familiar with her, how would we be able to bring this information as courses to this e-learning platform, which is usually you have videos there and people go up and they have video courses. All of our courses are free. So they go up and they it's an atmosphere. It's different than a entertainment. It's you go courses and then you would have textbooks like the handbook or textbooks, other. Do you think Omnec Onec would be open to becoming the faculty member, yourself even a faculty member
I
at
think, yeah, yeah, I would, and
University?
I think she would too, and Anya would.
Yeah,
And Anya could supply material as well of the uh, tapes and messages and things like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, if you happen to have the opportunity, when you're interacting with Omnic or with Anya, could you mention it to these people? And then when we see each other again, just say that, would you be interested in being on the faculty at omniversity.net? And
Sure,
they can go online and they can look at omniversity.net and it's all there. It's very simple.
I would be delighted to do that, and I will also speak with you with them in person when they uh, uh, both Anya and Omnek and myself and Tonya Maidenford, who works with Frank Jacobs on the like the
Great.
Packing for Mars series.
Oh, nice, nice.
We're all meeting in October for the month of October.
Oh,
We're
that's
working
nice.
we're working on a special project,
Oh,
and
great. I know Tanya well, and I know Frank well. So you can please give them my regards and tell them that I'm very open if they would like to become part of omniversary.net. Because,
oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely
oh,
we will contact you in October
oh, great.
and see what we could do.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Well, we're already past the first hour, so uh Omnec, we salute you. And this has been wonderful. And if you want to transition now to Lady Columba and
Okay,
Venus Revelation, uh,
okay.
I've
Or
got the
do,
audio book. I don't have it in paperback, so
okay.
I'll defer.
I'll
No, I mean bring the paperback or bring your PowerPoint, however you want to do it.
all right. Um, let's see. Is that showing up?
It says has started. Yes, it is.
Okay. Let's go from the current slide. Okay, these are the Lady Columba Venus Revelations. Um, these are given by Annabelle Krebs. She was born in 1902 in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and she lived well into the late 1990s. But in the book, she describes a process that she was going to undergo when the time was right, where uh, this is on the back side of the moon, and this is a drawing that's at the
Yes.
University of Arizona
Could
at
we
Tucson.
could we just back up? Could you describe to us and to me, because I'm not even sure, who exactly is Lady Columba and what is her present status?
Okay, Lady Columba was a contactee in the 1950s. She was the secretary to Truman Bethurum, who first met Commander Aura Raines and many other Venusians, traveled with them to Venus and other planets. And he was a construction worker out in the desert in Nevada near these nuclear test sites, and he was contacted to help the Venusians keep an eye on what was going on out there, which he did. He kept a notebook and everything, and then he wrote a book about his experiences, and it was illustrated by Annabelle Krebs, who was an artist, but she also had her own contacts with the Venusians. And like many of the other women contactees at the time, um, Dana Howard, uh, Evelyn Smith, different other ones, she wasn't really, Gloria Lee, she wasn't really paid that much attention to. So I got all of her notes and everything, and put her story together so that we would have it here in the present day,
Oh,
so
great.
that
And
so
so
that we could find out what she knew.
yeah, now just one technical question. Was Lady Columba from Venus or is she an Earthling?
She was an earthling. She started off as an earthling. I don't know about her prior incarnations,
Mhm,
but usually they are contacting their own.
mhm.
And most of the people that are contacted do turn out to be star seeds. And I have in my Venus Rising book, I have a chapter on how to identify uh, yourself as the star seed and what planetary system you come from. There's like a self-exam that you could give yourself, and there it covers 41 different points.
Excellent.
And so that's they're in contact. Basically, they are in contact with their own.
Okay, so now coming to the present, what exactly PowerPoint are we watching now?
Okay, this is about the book Lady Columba, Venus Revelations.
Okay, thank you. Is
So,
is Lady Columba still alive?
um, yeah, she's in a replicant body, but created with her own DNA.
I see.
So that's what you see in the picture here is uh, a new body was created for her, and her consciousness that was taken from her before she died is being downloaded into a new body that they constructed from parts of her DNA.
And who construct when you say they constructed who?
These are Venusians.
Oh, the Venusians. Okay.
This is on a base called Clarion, which is on the backside of the moon.
Okay. Thank you.
And so there's a, a detailed explanation of all of it in the book.
Oh, great.
Okay, so Lady Columbus returned to Earth on the 24th of June, 2017. Attendees at a New Age conference in northwestern Pennsylvania celebrated the 70th anniversary of the arrival of the Age of Flying Saucers. So this is a headline from the newspaper back in 1947 of Kenneth Arnold's sighting of 9 dish-shaped objects moving at tremendous speeds over um, Mount Rainier in Washington State. So to commemorate this event, I introduced 2 new books at that time, The Final Countdown, Rockets to Venus, and Cosmic Ray's excellent Venus Adventure. So it was just going to be an introduction of these books and a book signing. And then there was a commotion in the woods, and from that, 2 personages walked out into the campground, and they were met by 2 gentlemen and a dog that were just strolling around. And the dog started barking uncontrollably at that time. And there were 2 ladies in the beam of light, and one of them put their hands on the dog's head, and it calmed down immediately. And they asked them where they were from. They said they were from Venus, and they described it as a paradise planet, and said that they were here to um, be with Cosmic Ray and to um, be there and support me when I introduced the 2 new books about the planet Venus. This is me at uh, the the first book, Venus Rising, and after that came out, I was invited to the Philadelphia Museum of Art into the Venus Room. This is where they filmed that, the steps for the Rocky movie. And inside there, they have a Venus room with all the artwork, paintings and sculptures and everything of Venus. And I like this particular sculpture because it was created by a Swiss sculptor by the name of Keller in 1799. And it's coincidentally, it's called Venus Rising. So it's my favorite picture. Okay, so I'm introducing the new book, and then they walked into the campground. You see the two Venusian ladies there. They have the red berets, and then there's a gentleman with a black tie and black pants and a white shirt. Uh, he drove up and met with them and announced that his name was Alan. He's their security guard. So I was giving the presentation, and here they are in it's a garage. They turned it into like a meeting hall, and then you see the two standing there. Lady Columba is on the left, and the lady that introduced herself as Lady Aurora is on the right. So Lady Columba, her father was a pastor, and this was the church where he was preaching. So Annabelle Krebs, as she was known when she was growing up, also had a little sister. And so they were introduced to religion at an early age because their father was a pastor and so involved with it. Later on, um, they were on their own, and this is Annabelle in the year 1918, at the time of the Spanish flu, in a boarding house in New York. So this is the same woman that's in the picture in 2017, 101 years later. That's her little sister, and that's her mother. They they ran a boarding house in New York City, and of course, the United States and Canada were in World War I at that time, uh, over in Europe, and fighting the Spanish flu here at home, which was probably even worse than COVID was. Well, as Annabelle was growing up, she was very interested in spirituality and became a member of the Theosophical Society. We talked about Helena Blavatsky earlier before. She was the co-founder of the Theosophical Society in the previous century, in the 19th century, the late 19th century. And the motto of the Theosophical Society is, "There is no religion higher than truth." And it's very interesting, Alfred, as we study about the lives of all the contactees, they all have some connection with the Theosophical Society. Um, and it's no coincidence. It's no mere coincidence. There's a definite tie-in uh, between the Theosophical Society and life on other planets. Helena Blavatsky firmly believed that intelligence fills the immensity of space, that there's no part of space where intelligence doesn't exist. And she thought of Venus as the most powerful influence, spiritual influence on the earth in our entire history. Okay, Lady Columba worked closely with contactees, Truman Bethurham and Buck Nelson, both in intimate touch with the Venusians. Buck Nelson on the right was originally from Colorado. He was a farmer. He moved to Missouri. And Truman Bethurham uh, was a construction worker on the outskirts of an atomic testing site at Mormon Flats in Nevada. Lady Columba, she traveled around. She became a world famous artist. drew for magazines and did sketches and artwork for magazines in Argentina and Mexico, and also traveled throughout Europe and self-taught herself. She went to India, and she went up to Rishikesh in the north of India, where she could study the mystic arts. It became a master of telepathy and other psychic powers. Lady Columba believed that the earth, like Venus, could become a paradise for all. So she grew up and came into adulthood during the midst of the Great Depression. And so there was probably never a time when the contrast between the rich and the poor was so great. And she realized that it doesn't have to be this way, because all the mystics in India and all the utopians and progressivists in Europe, and they all talked about the paradise that the earth could be if we were all united. And then when she met Buck Nelson and she met Truman Bethurum, these other contactees, they said that these conditions already exist on the other planets. All we have to do is follow their example. So I was given a document called The Moon is Inhabited, written by Annabelle Krebs with her notes, but not completed. And she had a lot of her original artwork in there. This is one of the moon-based clarion here on the left. And then this is a representative on Earth, like a channel for Aura Rains that Rob and I met. And then this is the area um, in northern India, and the Rishikesh, which is at the gateway into the Himalayas. And this is where Annabelle Krebs went to study and journey into India in the 1920s. And what's interesting about that is that Helena Blavatsky became illuminated and understood these higher principles herself after two attempts to reach the Himalayas to get into Tibet, coming up through India. The first time she didn't make it very far. The world headquarters of the Theosophical Society was at Madras. So the first time she didn't get much further than up into central India, but on the second time she made it. She made it through Rishikesh and up the trail all the way into the Himalayas, where she met with ascended masters. So this is what Annabelle Krebs wanted to do, and she succeeded in doing that. This is a scene in Rishikesh. People from all over the world come there to meditate and study, and hopefully to meet with masters, ascended and otherwise. And here in North America, the Grand Tetons and Mount Shasta are very similar. These are places of prayer and meditation where one can meet the ascended masters like Guy Ballard did, and others. The Mount Shasta and the Tetons, and even Sedona, Arizona. These are mystical power points, vortexes of spiritual energy here on the earth. So here's some of the spiritual masters throughout history. Okay, and the Lady Columba Venus revelations, more fantastic revelations about the planet Venus, the moon-based Clarion, the confederation of planets, human hybrid extraterrestrials, parallel worlds, time travel, secret space programs, and spiritual dimensions await you in the pages of Lady Columba's new book available on Headline Books or Amazon.com while supplies last. Oh, this is my friend on the left. She was a friend of George Adamski. This is in Vista, California, in the Stecklings home. The Stecklings formed the Adamski Foundation, and this is Mrs. Steckling. She was the chair of the Adamski Foundation for a while after Adamski passed away in 1965. And this is my friend here, also from Ohio. Okay, so you know, the book is very profound, and I want to thank you for watching this presentation and Cosmic Blessings from the Angelic Hierarchy of Light on Venus. This is the book. It's called Lady Columba, Venus Revelations. It's also available as a narration by Terry Springs, the weather lady from the CBS television affiliate in Las Vegas. And you'll learn so much that about Venus and what's going on the moon and other planets, and even time travel in the future through the Lady Columba Venus Revelations. And thank you for allowing me to present this information.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to order that one today. I have it in the audio book version, but I'm going to order it now in the paperback.
This is
What
this is
what is
the
that?
that's a galactic confederation meeting that's taking place on a space platform, the Leviathan, which is launched from the far side of the moon. And it was in attendance with Annabelle Krebs as Lady Columba. So you could see her right here. And then the lady with the beret that's attending the meeting is Commander Aura Rains,
Wow,
um, a six-dimensional angelic ascended being.
right. You know what strikes me, and perhaps you'd like to comment on this, and that is that how, uh, in terms of gender balance, the female gender seems to have a lot of very prominent roles in Venus, and I wondered if you could comment on that.
Oh yes. Well, uh, first of all, Venus is rightly identified as a planet with a feminine aspect. For one thing, when our ancestors looked at Venus, the sky was much clearer, and they could see uh, like a cometary tail behind Venus that extends for 5 million kilometers into space.
Ooh.
Because this is the solar wind that's always interacting with the northern hemisphere of Venus that forms those two cyclonic storms, the perpetual storms. And what this left was this long trail that looked like a golden trail. It looks like golden tresses. So the people naturally identified Venus, uh, except for Mother Earth, as the only other planet that they identified with a goddess.
Whoa.
And well, rightly so, because in the history of Venus, there is true equality. And you'll learn in the Venus books how the civilization on Venus is intimately connected with bees,
Right.
and how the bees on Earth came here from Venus and everything. Well, on Venus, bees are so uh, stitched into the fabric of life on the planet that the whole planet, their government structure and everything is organized like a beehive. And Nikola Tesla, he used to say that when he wasn't building this telescope and trying to communicate with Venus and Mars in 1898, he always said that he said in 1927 in an interview uh, with prominent magazine uh, that the perfect society would be organized just like life in a beehive.
Yeah.
And then when they made this movie back then, one of the first science fiction movies called Metropolis, they took this story by Nikola Tesla about how society would be organized like a beehive in a perfect society. So they had the grand capital of the new world shaped like a beehive. And then they had everybody in there. They were creating a race of robots to do the humans' work to replace the worker, replace the workers. So I thought it was, I mean, the connections between Tesla and Venus are also amazing. And they're covered by one of the chapters. They're covered in detail in the chapters in Venus Rising. And of course, Margaret Storm wrote that book about uh, the return of the dove, which was all about Tesla. And of course, doves and bees were the familiars uh, associated with Lady Venus, the goddess Venus, and that she rode through the heavens in a chariot of doves,
Right.
and that she was the patron of all bees and brought bees to the earth. And well, it's all talked about in the Venus book, and also the Fibonacci sequence, how it relates to beehives and how it relates to the orbit of the planet Venus in relation to the Earth, and just so many similarities that it's really astounding when you think about it.
Well, this is, I'm just overwhelmed and overjoyed, simultaneously overwhelmed and overjoyed. I maybe we can call it the Venus syndrome. Alfred's got the Venus syndrome.
Well, I should say that all the other planets in the solar system are occupied uh, by various beings and entities, and some indigenous, and some are from other solar systems. Um, Even I just wrote an article about on Lon Strickler's Phantoms and Monsters.com. I think I sent it to you about Titan, the moon of Titan.
I haven't seen it. If you'd like to send
Oh
it.
yeah, I'll send it again in case you didn't get it, about the operations of the Confederation of Planets on Titan,
Oh,
and
good.
then the late contactee Howard Mengers, his connection with the Saturn system and everything, and what's going on Titan, and what Stanton Friedman had to say about it, about Titan and the mysteries there. And it's just really amazing. So um, when you study about Venus, then you also learn about these other planets and moons and space platforms, and what's going on there too.
Yeah. Perhaps now, as we're nearing the closing, uh, Ray, you could mention what's going to happen at thepromiserevealed.net, the website of the conference, those dates, and what is being there, so that the audience can know about that. Over to you.
Oh, thank you, Alfred. Yes, coming up, there'll be the summer conference in Mount Shasta. It'll be from the 27th of June through the 3rd of July. Myself and Omnec Onec will be there, and many other contactees and personages from the area. We'll have sky watches. We'll have all kinds of extraterrestrial activities, and I think we might have a visit from one of our extraterrestrial friends that will be there.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, so I really want to thank you for not only your decades of work here on Earth, but all that you're doing to help preserve and spread the message of Venus and the message of our life in the solar system and our universe, multiverse, and omniverse at large. And Ray, Dr. Keller, and we look forward to connecting with you again on the other side of the conference so that in our follow-on, we can follow on part 2 of the vast Venus conspiracy, but also go in and view the PowerPoint of your own personal visit to Venus. So thank you very much and bon voyage to the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred, and thank you all viewers and listeners.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay.
That was great.